Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we are going to do my we'll say top 5 knives that are my favorite. It's really not going off of anything, it's just going over my whole collection, saying which ones are my favorite, which ones are going to probably be around for forever or at least a long time. I really don't know the top 5 kind of going into this. The purpose of doing this is A, I don't know. B, we always like top 5 lists and everything, but it's just something to kind of identify through everything that we own. Which ones do you really want / need, or whatever the case is. You really don't want or need. You want, but you don't need all of them. But these 3, the QSP Phoenix, the QSP Dogma and Damascus, and the filled-in Fuller, the Ortiz, and the Steelwell Sedge are not in this category because I have not had them long enough to really grade them on anything. The Damascus Dogma will be around forever. I do have a Dogma out here, but I just don't have enough experience with those to, really give too much feedback. I'm just going to start picking up knives, eliminating them until we get down to the top 5. We'll talk about the top 5 and kind of go on from there. First and foremost, my Civivi Spyderco Tenacious. This is a Spyderco Tenacious with a serrated edge. I actually recently gave away my Spyderco Tenacious with the straight edge to a friend. She had this old school buck that you could not, it was all pins, you couldn't fix the play or anything in it. She asked me to sharpen it. I started and I'm like, dude, she can't use this knife. This is ridiculous. So I gave her the straight edge. I have the serrated edge. This one will be around for probably forever, but there's no reason other than the fact that it's my only serrated edge knife. It's not a favorite. It's just purpose driven, right? So next on the list, these are going out in no particular order other than ones that I know aren't my favorite. So the Civivi Fracture. This is an awesome knife. This knife is 8 CR13 MOV steel, is $28. It's Civivi's kind of thank you for making us awesome type of knife. I talked about this before. I like this knife. I am not a slip joint guy, so it is by no means a favorite knife, but it's, once again, probably not going anywhere just because of the sentimental value. Not a favorite, though. Bum, 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 bum. Let's go after a recently reviewed Defcon TP68. Not a favorite. I went over this in my review. It's got a lot of good qualities, but I overall feel like this knife had all these good qualities that they're like, that's a great quality. And then they mixed them all up, and they did no job in integrating them together. It's kind of I don't know. It's a good knife. I was talking with somebody online, I think it was Travis, and we were talking, basically, the only thing this knife brings to the table for $40 is it's slightly overbuilt by comparison of most of the other knives in that price range. And that's what you're getting. It's like a heavy, it reminded me of the Rat 1, how it's heavy, it's solid. That's the feeling you get out of this. Other than that, there's nothing else that this really brings that's special among that price point. Moving on up to the Revo Berserk. Love this knife, but just not a favorite. It's got some flaws. Obviously, the detent, if you guys haven't seen this yet, absolutely ridiculous. I might try to fix that. I don't know. It's a very cool knife. It didn't come like that. It did come with a super weak detent. I adjusted a couple things, and then the detent got worse. So I could probably fix it a little bit to where it has some semblance of a detent, but it'll never be where it should be. Is this a forever knife? If I can make it safe to sell, then yes. If I can't make it safe to sell, then no. It's no point in selling it to somebody who's going to hurt themselves. Next, let's go into the Rat Model 1. And the Rat Model 2 for that matter, because I like the Rat Model 1 more than the Rat Model 2. Awesome knives. They are review knives, but not my favorite. They hold their place. There's a reason for these in everyday usage and everyday EDC community, but they're not my favorite. The Civivi Elementum. Awesome knife, brings a ton to the table, ton of customization options, you can just get a ton of different things for this guy. The S35 blade really makes it stand out even more when you get one. This is the D2 or the 9CR, I don't remember. But, yeah, not a favorite either. Spyderco Astute. Cool knife. I love how snappy it is. This thing's snappy as hell just because of I talked about this, but the only place that you can engage it forces you to put the exact proper pressure at the exact proper place, and it snaps out. It sounds like a Protec. It fires hard. Not a favorite. this won't be a forever knife. This will probably go soon. The Civivi Ortiz, just reviewed this knife. Very cool by Fair and Forge. It has awesome ergonomics and awesome slicey blade. Perfect fifth pocket knife. Wish it had a lanyard hole, but you know, I'm not really into the sub 3-inch knives. Just a preference. There's nothing against them. It's just, that's where I stand. So, not a favorite. ProTech Newport. Awesome. I love it for what it is. It's my first automatic, and my first real automatic, if you will. But not a favorite. I mean, I like this knife. I love this knife, but it's not one of my top 3 or top 5 favorite knives. Boop, 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 boop. Ooh, now it's getting, well. The Honey Badger. For 30 bucks, this thing's awesome. It brings a lot to the table as far as beat the shit out of me. That's like what it screams. It just screams, use me until I'm broken and then buy another one because I'm only 30 bucks. But short of that, not a favorite knife. It's not a go-to knife. I don't reach for this knife hardly ever. Moving on here, let's reorganize because this is where it gets hard. Not really. I can get rid of some of these feldspars. Feldspars aren't a favorite knife. I appreciate them for what they are. But there's nothing to me that makes them a favorite knife in my book. I use them for size comparison knives, so they probably won't go anywhere anytime soon. That being said, not a favorite knife. You know, kind of the same as some of these. Civivi Dogma. This necessarily isn't my favorite Civivi, but this is the King Civivi that I crowned. It has everything that I would think, if you're going off of objective only, that it's almost perfect for the price and everything. Ergonomics, slicey, you know, the carry, deep carry pocket clip, fit and finish. This thing has everything you would want. It's even got fidget factor, and so it's a great knife. It's just not one that I reach for. I do reach for the Damascus one a little bit more, but that one's kind of out of the realm because I haven't really had enough time with it. The Civivi Durus. I love this knife. I am in love with the Durus, which he's in love with the Durus. But I have knives that kind of replaced it in my book. Don't ever think I'll get rid of this, but it's just not a top 5 favorite knife. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty, boys. Let's go with my Civivi Backlash. I love the Backlash. The Backlash came and it opened my eyes to Civivi. It was the first Civivi that I really loved. The ergonomics are great. Awesome blade. It looks classy. It's just, great, great knife. I just don't reach for it anymore. I'm kind of going off of what I reach for when I look at my knives, and that's how I'm grading this and like establishing whether or not this is a favorite knife of mine. While it's probably one of my favorite Civivis, definitely one of my favorite Civivis, if not the favorite compared to the Durus, but it's just not a favorite knife that I own. This is where it gets hard. I'm getting down to the top 5. We'll crown a top 1, but remember my Spyderco Super Freak? Jesus. My Benchmade Super Freak is with Corey at Practical Blade. That one would definitely make the top 5, if not the top 2. But that's with him, and so I'm kind of, this adds a cool dynamic not having it. So that's why I'm doing this too without it. If the Super Freak was here, you would have already seen this take over some other things. So the Defcon Kabuto. I love this knife. I love this. I've shown this so many times. I love that. Oh, I love that so much. But I never reached to use it, probably because it's so darn pretty. It's just a very pretty knife, and, you know, I should want to use it more. I just don't. I mean, I think it's because it's so pretty. There's something about a pretty knife that you want to keep clean, even though this thing isn't super clean because I forced myself to use it on a box or something right there. But, yeah, I mean, the fidget factor is through the roof on this guy. But not making it to a favorite. I have to consider my favorites the knives that I will reach for. This isn't a Safe Queen favorite type of thing, and I don't really have a Safe Queen knife right now. I haven't spent any more than $220 on a knife, so there's no real Safe Queens in here. Excuse me. Let's see here. Out of these top 5, The Concept Cryo. I love calling it Concept. I know it's Concept, but for some reason I just like being a jackass. I love this knife. It brings so much to the table, and this is definitely going in my 2020 budget knives of the year when I do a countdown for there. But I find myself reaching for, and this is the top 5, by the way, excluding the Super Freak. We got the QSP Puffin, the Concept Cryo, the QSP Copperhead, the Farron Forge Falcon, and the Spyderco Manix 2. With this guy, I love it. I'm kind of glad that the QSP Copperhead, I found out from QSP themselves, didn't come out in 2020. It's hard to kind of find what year they came out in. Because if it did, I know that the Copperhead would overtake the Cryo this year for my favorite budget knife of the year. But this thing is awesome. It's gorgeous, but it's simple. There's nothing to hate about this knife. Recessed liners, so much thought went into this. It's just, this is virtually perfect for the price point. Just great. This is a great knife. This is my number 5 favorite knife. My number 4 favorite knife that's currently on this table. My Farron Forge Falcon. The Mastrap. This is where I fell in love with the small knife ergonomics plus the Darus. The Darus led me here, and then this thing, like, it was like a doorway, and then this thing just went and just opened up everything. I love this knife. It's super fidgety. The ergonomics are great. It's a beautiful blade. But if I have these two next to each other, I'm choosing my Puffin all day. And this isn't like me being subjective or biased or anything. It's just when I look at these two knives, I grab this one. And it's not because I'm scared to use either one or whatever. It's just I prefer it. And this thing's action needs to get a little fixed, but whatever. It's a lot better than this normally. This is my number 4 favorite knife on the table. This is your top 3, ladies and gentlemen. What are we going to do here? As you can see, QSP made its way into my top 3 with 2 knives, which is pretty impressive. But then again, remember, it's limited. This isn't to every knife that's on the market. This is to every knife that I currently own and have felt. The knives that could be on this table that I've already sold, they just don't. I sold them for a reason, right? So, my number 3 favorite knife on this table has to be my QSP Copperhead. I absolutely love the ergonomics. This, I've said it, this is the poor man's Super Freak. The ergonomics feel that of the Super Freak, just a slight less than the Super Freak. Does that make sense? It's just the way that the contoured handle and the blade shape on here. And check this out. It's almost as good as that Defcon. I don't know how it happened. There's no blade play, no up and down blade play, but oh my goodness. I broke it in, and it is so fidgety. I choose this to fidget with almost over any knife, short of my Super Freak, if it were to come back. This thing is freaking fantastic. The QSP Copperhead, guys, awesome. Awesome knife. $60. Might be like $80. I think I found it on Chicago Cutlery for like 60, but I got it from Mastrap for 60. So my final 2 into the favorite knife that I currently own and have experienced, once again, short of the Super Freak, has to be, this hurts. This actually hurts to say, my Spyderco Manix 2. The reason this is number 2, I have to go off of, again, what I choose to carry. And it's not that I'm not choosing to carry this. I'm choosing to carry this more than I choose to carry this. Now, there's different times. These are kind of different task-ish knives. If I was a guy that was doing a lot of heavy work, the Manix 2 would probably be the number 1. But I don't do a lot of heavy work. I don't do a lot of things that require a knife that I could just bear down on and whatnot. And it's just I don't find it in my pocket as much as I find my number 1 QSP Puffin. This thing is ergonomically average. Fidget factor, great once you get used to that little finger hole right there. And again, sausage fingers ain't going to be able to make this work. You need that thumb stud. But look at that. QSP, they're no blade play up and down, left and right. But QSP's freaking action, oh my goodness. Like, these guys are killing it. This is a $60 knife. This is a $90 knife. You could probably get it for $150 most places. I got it for $90 on drop. It's just so fun to fidget with. It's just amazing. To put that into perspective, I just got this guy. I played around with it. This is the QSP Phoenix. Again, wouldn't be on this list, but the action on this thing's awesome too. This thing was $40. And yes, it's big, it's heavy, but my gosh. And when I'm saying action is good, I'm not saying like it just through the roof fidget factor. I don't feel in my hand when these things are dropping. I can hear it a little bit, it's just dirty, but I don't feel anything. It's so smooth. And the same thing goes even more so for this puffin. You just don't feel it. So that's it, guys. This is my top 5 favorite knives that I currently own and choose to use. I love these things. These things are fantastic. If you go with any one of these knives, I don't think anybody is ever going to be upset. You're never going to be like, man, I should have bought this. You might. But to me, if you only had to choose one and you chose any one of these, I mean, this, for price, I think out of all of these, this takes it down for the price point versus what you're getting. Maybe the Cryo, because it's $10 less. Is it? Yeah, it's about $10 less. But for what you're getting, I mean, it's 14C28N, and you know, anyways. These are my top 5 favorite knives that I currently own and have experienced to date in my knife life. My name is Tyler. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is just a fun video. You know, I like doing these top 5s, top 10s. You guys have a great freaking day. Wear your freaking masks if you got to. And let's get through this next week together. Let's try to make the work week go quick. And I am extending this ending for no practical purpose whatsoever. Thank you guys for watching.